It was 1925. Florence Scovel Shin had just awakened from a dream so vivid that her hands trembled as she reached for her journal. In this dream, an angel showed her a clock. The hands pointed to exactly 5 minutes before midnight. And a voice, she described as a gentle thunder, whispered, "Within this window." Spoken words passed through the veil, unresisted. When Florence awoke, she glanced at the clock beside her bed. It was 11:55 p.m., 5 minutes before midnight, and in that moment, she understood. She had received a secret that would change the lives of thousands, a temporal portal where the universe not only listens, but responds instantly. If you're watching this now, it's not a coincidence. Florence taught that the only true coincidence is the one you ignore. And what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes is the exact prayer, word for word, that Florence created to be recited 5 minutes before sleep. A prayer that activates instant prosperity while your body rests. But before I give you these sacred words, you need to understand why this specific moment holds a power that no other time of day possesses. Your brain operates at different frequencies throughout the day. When you're awake and active, your brain waves are in beta, the frequency of waking consciousness, of logic, of resistance. But 5 minutes before you drift off to sleep, something extraordinary happens. Your brain begins to gently glide into the theta state, the border between consciousness and the subconscious. It's within this portal, this sacred window, that the doors of your subconscious mind swing wide open. And Florence discovered that when you speak decrees at this exact moment, they meet with no resistance. They go directly into the central computer of your reality and begin to manifest while you slumber. But there's more. Florence studied ancient texts of Kabbalah and discovered something that few realize. The Jewish mystics called the moment before sleep the bedtime Shema, a recitation before rest. They believed that at this moment, the soul partially leaves the body to visit the celestial realms, and the last words you speak before sleeping are the instructions that your soul carries to the universe. They are the requests it delivers directly into the divine presence. Florence connected this ancient wisdom with her own revelations and crafted a prayer that acts as a direct access code to universal abundance. Let me tell you what happened to Emily Carter, one of Florence's students in 1926. Emily was broke, literally. She had $15 in her bank account and a mountain of bills that totaled over $300. She attended a lecture by Florence, desperate, almost without hope. When Florence mentioned the 5 minutes before sleep prayer, Emily scribbled down every word with trembling hands. That night, she did exactly as Florence instructed. 5 minutes before closing her eyes, she spoke the prayer. And then, something unexplainable happened. Emily slept deeply. For the first time in months, no anxiety, no worry, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders, as the words of the prayer left her lips. The next morning, she received a letter. A distant uncle she didn't even know existed had passed away and left her exactly $350, enough to pay all her debts and still have some left over. But the story doesn't end there. For the next 6 months, Emily continued to recite the prayer every single night, 5 minutes before sleep. And money began to flow in ways she never imagined. Clients she wasn't even looking for. Opportunities that appeared out of nowhere. Ideas that came in dreams and turned into income. And when she went to thank Florence in person, Florence said something that completely changed how Emily viewed the prayer. Florence said, "Do you think it was the prayer that brought the money? No. Darling, the prayer simply removed the barrier that you had built between yourself and the prosperity that has always been available. The universe has always wanted to give you abundance, but you were blocking it with fear, doubt, worry. The 5 minutes before sleep prayer dissolves those barriers while your conscious mind rests. And when the barriers fall, abundance flows naturally. Now, before I give you the exact words of the prayer, you need to understand 3 sacred rules that Florence established. If you break any of these rules, the prayer loses its power. Rule number 1, you cannot recite the prayer with doubt. If a part of you is thinking, "This isn't going to work," while you're speaking the words, you are sending a double signal to the universe, and the universe always responds to what you truly believe, not to what you speak. So, if you have doubt, don't do the prayer. Wait until you have at least a spark of faith, because faith the size of a mustard seed, as Florence always quoted, is enough to move mountains. Rule number 2, you cannot recite the prayer and then stay awake worrying. The power of the prayer lies in letting go, in surrendering your request to the universe and sleeping in peace, trusting that it is done. If you recite the prayer and then lie awake thinking about how you're going to pay the bills, you are canceling the decree. Florence used to say, "Your job is to plant the seed with the words. The universe's job is to make it grow. But if you keep digging up the seed all the time to see if it's germinating, you kill the plant before it sprouts." Rule number 3, you cannot tell everyone that you're reciting the prayer. Florence was clear about this. There are people who will project doubt, skepticism, negative energy onto your manifestations. And when you're in the early days of reciting the prayer, your faith is still fragile, like the flame of a candle. A single word of disbelief from someone close to you can extinguish that flame. So, recite the prayer in silence. Keep it to yourself. Let the results speak for you. Now, I'm going to give you the words, the exact prayer that Florence Scovel created after that dream in 1925. But before I do, I want you to understand one thing. These aren't just pretty words. Each word was chosen with surgical precision. Each syllable carries a specific frequency. And when you recite this prayer 5 minutes before sleep, you are literally reprogramming your subconscious mind to operate on the frequency of abundance. Prayer begins like this: I give thanks that the infinite substance of good now manifests as endless provision in my life. See Florence's genius in this first sentence. She doesn't say, "I ask." She says, "I give thanks," because gratitude presumes that it has already been granted. When you give thanks for something, you are telling the universe that it is already yours. And the universe, not understanding linear time as we do, responds immediately to the frequency of gratitude, bringing more of what you are grateful for. The second part of the prayer: as I sleep, my subconscious mind works for me, attracting perfect opportunities, the right people, and unexpected wealth. Florence knew that your subconscious never rests. While you sleep, it continues processing, organizing, creating. And when you give it a clear instruction before bed, it spends the entire night working on that instruction. It's like programming a computer to make downloads while you're not using it. When you wake up, the work is already done. Third part: I release all worry about money and trust that the universe abundantly supplies me now. This is the hardest part for most people. Releasing the worry, because we've been conditioned to think that worry is responsibility. That if you're not worried about money, you're irresponsible. But Florence taught the exact opposite. She said, worry is prayer in reverse. When you worry, you're manifesting exactly what you don't want. So this phrase of the prayer is a decree to cut the cord of worry and replace it with trust. Fourth and final part. My ship has come in. It is done. It is finished. And so it is. Florence used this ship metaphor a lot. She said that your prosperity is like a ship that has already left the harbor and is sailing toward you. Your job isn't to row to the ship. Your job is to stand on the shore with total certainty that it will arrive. And when you declare, my ship has come in the present, you're collapsing time. You're bringing the future into the now. Because in the spiritual realm, where all things already exist, your ship has already arrived. You're just aligning your physical reality with the spiritual reality. Now, I'm going to give you the complete prayer all at once, and I want you to save this. Write it on a piece of paper. Put it on your nightstand, because starting today, 5 minutes before sleep, you're going to speak these words. I give thanks that the infinite substance of good now manifests as unending supply in my life. As I sleep, my subconscious mind works for me, attracting perfect opportunities, the right people, and unexpected wealth. I release all worry about money and trust that the universe abundantly supplies me now. My ship has come in. It is done. It is finished. And so it is. But Florence didn't stop there. She added an extra technique to amplify the power of the prayer. She called it the Golden Portal Visualization. It works like this. After you say the prayer, you close your eyes and imagine a golden door in front of you. This door is slightly ajar, and you see golden light leaking through the cracks. You don't need to open the door. You just need to know that on the other side is all the abundance you need. And as you fall asleep, your subconscious mind goes through that door and seeks what you need. It's a way of giving a visual image for the subconscious to work with. Many people ask me, what if I can't visualize properly? Florence answered this brilliantly. She said, it doesn't matter if the image is sharp or blurry. What matters is the intention behind it. Your subconscious understands intention, not details. So even if all you see is a vague sense of golden light, it's sufficient. The door doesn't need to be a real door. It could be a curtain, a window, a veil. The symbol is just a hook for your mind. The power is in your intention to access universal abundance. Now let me tell you something that very few people know. Florence tested this prayer at different times before settling on 5 minutes before sleep. She tried it in the morning upon waking, tried it at noon, tried it at sunset, and she meticulously documented the results. What she discovered was fascinating. The prayer worked at all times, but in the 5 minutes before sleep, the results were 3 times faster. People reported manifestations in 24 to 72 hours, while at other times, it took weeks. Why? Because at that specific moment, you're literally falling into the subconscious. And the last seeds you plant before falling in are the ones that germinate the fastest. There's a story that perfectly exemplifies the power of this timing. Michael Thompson was a New York businessman who was on the verge of bankruptcy in 1927. He owed $40,000, a fortune back then. He went to one of Florence's lectures completely skeptical. He even admitted later that he was only there because his wife insisted. When Florence taught the 5-minute prayer, Michael wrote it down more out of politeness than faith. But that night, lying in bed unable to sleep because of his worries, he remembered the words and thought, "What do I have to lose?" He spoke the prayer. For the first time in months, he slept through the entire night. The next day, he received a call from an investor who he had met years ago and never heard from again. The investor said that Michael had appeared in a dream of his the night before. And in the dream, a voice told him to invest in Michael's business. The investor not only paid all of Michael's debts, but became a partner. And in the following 10 years, they built an empire. Michael wrote a letter to Florence in 1937 that is archived to this day. In the letter he says, "I don't know if it was God, if it was my subconscious, or if it was some cosmic force that I don't understand. But I know that something changed that night when I spoke those words 5 minutes before sleep. And my life has never been the same." This is the magic of Florence's prayer. It doesn't require you to understand how it works. It just requires you to do it. And Florence always said, "You don't need to understand electricity to turn on the light. You just need to flip the switch. The prayer is the switch. Universal abundance is the electricity." And the 5 minutes before sleep is the exact moment where the circuit is completed. But there's something else I need to tell you. And this is crucial. The prayer works differently for each person. For some, the money arrives literally. A check, a job offer, an unexpected client. For others, it arrives as an idea, an inspiration that when executed generates income. For still others, it arrives as a removal of blockage. Suddenly that debt that seemed impossible to pay is forgiven. That lawsuit that was sucking all your money is dismissed. Florence explained this with a beautiful metaphor. She said, "The universe has billions of ways to give you abundance, and it always chooses the way that is best for your spiritual growth. So don't limit the universe by saying, 'It has to come in this specific way.' Just know that it will come, and be open to receive it in whatever way it does." Now, there are 3 fatal mistakes that people make when doing this prayer. What if you commit any of these errors? You'll completely negate the power of your words. First mistake, saying the prayer and then complaining throughout the day. You wake up, say the prayer, and feel a wonderful peace. But by 10 in the morning, you're complaining about not having money, that everything is hard, that nothing works. You've just canceled your prayer. Because complaining is a reverse decree. Every time you complain, you're telling the universe, "I don't have, I don't have, I don't have." And the universe responds, "Okay, I'll make sure you continue not having, since that's what you're decreeing all day long." Second mistake, saying the prayer but continuing to act out of fear. For example, you say the prayer asking for abundance, but the next day, you're accepting any job out of desperation. Making horrible choices for fear of lacking money, or even humiliating yourself for a few dollars. Florence Scovel. Jin said, "Your behavior is your real decree. If you act with fear, you're decreeing scarcity, even if your words say abundance." So after you say the prayer, you need to start acting like someone who trusts that abundance is on its way. And that doesn't mean being irresponsible. It means being patient, discerning, selective. It means not accepting crumbs when you've decreed a feast. Third mistake, saying the prayer once or twice and giving up when you don't see immediate results. Florence Scovel. Shin was very clear about this. She said the prayer needs to be said for at least 21 consecutive days. Why? Because it takes 21 days to create a new neural pathway in the brain. During the first few days, you're just preparing the soil. You're removing the weeds of doubt, fear, worry. It's only after 14 to 21 days that the seed really starts to sprout. So if you say the prayer for 3 days and give up, you're giving up right when the miracle was about to happen. And there's an important technical detail about the 5 minutes. Florence Scovel. Shin specified it's not just any 5 minutes. It's specifically when you're already lying down, with the lights off, ready to sleep. Because if you say the prayer and then get up to brush your teeth, check your phone, watch another video, you've missed the window. The power is in speaking the words and immediately starting to drift into sleep. It's in this bridge, in this transition, that the portal opens. So here's the complete protocol that Florence Scovel Shin taught. You prepare for sleep normally. Brush your teeth, put on your pajamas, do everything you need to do. Then you lie down, turn off the light, close your eyes, and you give yourself 5 minutes. In the first 2 minutes, you just breathe deeply and relax your body. Then, in the next 3 minutes, you say the prayer, slowly, with intention, feeling each word. And after you finish the last word, and so it is, you visualize that golden door, see the light leaking out, and you simply let go. You surrender. You fall asleep knowing that it is done. And here's something that will make a total difference in your results. Florence Scovel. Shin taught a technique called the feeling of fulfillment. After you say the prayer, before sleeping, you spend 30 seconds feeling what it would be like to wake up tomorrow with the problem solved. Not visualizing, feeling. What would the sensation be in your chest? Would it be lightness? Would it be gratitude? Would it be peace? You capture that feeling and fall asleep enveloped in it. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your feelings. When you sleep feeling abundance, you wake up attracting abundance. If this revelation is touching something inside you, if you're feeling that you've finally found the missing piece, I have a request. This channel exists to bring the teachings of Florence Scovel Shin back to life, to share these secrets that were forgotten in dusty books. And every super thanks you send is like a mustard seed, small but powerful. Because with that support, I can continue diving into the manuscripts, translating, revealing, sharing. Florence Scovel. Shin taught that when you give with gratitude, you open the door to receive multiplied. So if this prayer is going to change your life, honor that, receiving with the super thanks button. It's right there, below the video. And know that your contribution isn't just financial, it's energetic. It's you saying yes to more revelations like this. Now, let's get to the most powerful part of all this. Florence Scovel. Shin didn't just share the prayer. She shared the signs that the prayer is working. Because in the first few days, you might not see external change. The bills are still there. The money hasn't arrived yet. And it's easy to get discouraged. But Florence Scovel Shin taught that there are internal signs that appear before the external ones. And when you notice these signs, you know that manifestation is on its way. First sign, you wake up more rested. Even if you sleep the same number of hours, the quality of your sleep improves. Why? Because when you say the prayer and release the worry, you stop spending mental energy during the night. Your brain can finally really rest. And when your brain rests, it works better. You start to have better ideas, make better choices, see opportunities that you missed before. Second sign, you feel less urgency about money. Seems contradictory, right? You're saying a prayer for abundance and suddenly you care less about money? But Florence Scovel explained that this is the most important sign, because while you're desperate for money, you're emanating a vibration of lack. And a vibration of lack attracts more lack. But when you say the prayer for several days and start to truly trust that the universe is taking care of you, you relax. And in this relaxation, you stop blocking the flow. It's like Florence Scovel always said, your ship arrived as soon as you no longer cared whether it was coming. Third sign, synchronicities start to appear. You think of someone and the person calls you. You need information and it appears out of nowhere. You're driving and accidentally take a different route and find exactly what you needed. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations from the universe that you've entered the flow, that the prayer is working, that abundance is moving in your direction. Fourth sign, opportunities arise in disguise. Florence Scovel warned a lot about this. She said that when you say the prayer asking for prosperity, the universe sometimes responds by offering you work. Not necessarily money falling from the sky, but a chance to use your talents in a profitable way. And many people miss the manifestation because they're waiting to win the lottery when the universe is trying to give them a client. So pay attention. If after saying the prayer someone asks you for a service, someone offers you a partnership, someone recommends you for an opportunity, don't ignore it. That's prayer being answered. Fifth sign, you start finding money in unexpected places. Literally. A gift card you forgot about in a drawer. Refund you weren't expecting. A $20 bill fallen into the pocket of an old coat. Florence taught that these small finds are practice runs from the universe. It's showing you, Fosh, see? I can bring you money from where you least expect it. And when you celebrate these little gifts, instead of dismissing them thinking, oh, it's just $20, you open the channel for even bigger gifts. Now, the final transformation. What to do after the prayer starts working, because this is the real test. Many people do the prayer, the money starts flowing, and they stop doing it. Big mistake. Florence taught that the 5-minute prayer isn't an emergency tool. It's a lifestyle. It's how you keep the channel open, permanently. So even after the money has arrived, even after your bills are paid, even after you have money to spare, you keep doing the prayer. Why? Because now you're building not just abundance, but financial stability. You're creating a new, permanent pattern. And here's the secret that few understand. The prayer doesn't change the universe. The prayer changes you. Because the universe has always been ready to give you abundance, forever. The problem was never the universe. The problem was always your belief system, your fears, your doubts, blocking what was already available. And when you do the prayer daily for 5 minutes before sleep, you're systematically reprogramming those limiting beliefs. You're literally rebuilding your identity from someone who struggles with lack to someone who lives in abundance. Florence told a story about a woman named Beverly who did the prayer for 3 consecutive years. Every single day, 5 minutes before sleep. In the first few months, she saw dramatic financial changes. Debts paid off, money coming in. But she didn't stop. She continued. And in the following years, something even deeper happened. She stopped having a neurotic relationship with money. She didn't get anxious when she spent it, didn't get obsessed when she received it. She developed what Florence called an abundance consciousness, a deep, unwavering certainty that no matter what happens externally, she will always have enough. And in this state of consciousness, abundance wasn't something she sought anymore. It was something she was. So today, right now, you have a choice. You can watch this video, find it interesting, and do nothing. Or you can decide that starting today, for the next 21 days at minimum, you're going to do this experiment. You're going to take the words I've given you. You're going to write them on a piece of paper. And 5 minutes before sleep, you're going to speak this prayer with intention, with faith. And you're going to go to sleep, releasing, trusting, knowing that the universe has heard you. And one last thing that Florence always emphasized: don't tell anyone that you're doing this, at least not in the first 21 days. Because this is a sacred process between you and the divine. And the more you keep this secret, the more power it has. Let the results speak for you. Let the money that starts coming in be the proof. And when people ask how your life has changed, then you can share the secret, but only after you see it working. There are people at this moment who have already decided to do the prayer tonight. These people are different. They don't wait for the perfect life to start. They don't wait to be absolutely certain. They simply act. And it's these people who will receive the results. Because the universe doesn't reward intention. The universe rewards action. And the action I'm asking you for is tiny. 5 minutes before sleep for 21 days. If that's too much to ask, then honestly, the prosperity you say you want, you don't really want. Because if you did, you would do it. So the question is, are you going to do it? Or are you going to be just another person who watches, agrees, and does nothing? Florence said that there's a spiritual law called the law of use. Everything you don't use, you lose. And the knowledge you just received, if you don't use it in the next 24 hours, you'll forget it. It'll become just another video you watched. But if you use it, if you apply it, this knowledge becomes power, becomes transformation, becomes real money in your account. And it's not about believing in me. It's about you testing it, doing the experiment, and letting the results prove it to you. Because the truth doesn't need to be defended. The truth just needs to be experienced. What color appeared in your mind while you were watching this video? It wasn't random. Florence taught that colors are messages from your higher self. Share in the comments what color you saw. And it will be incredible to read all the synchronicities that will appear. Because I guarantee that several people will write the same color as you. And that's not coincidence. It's confirmation that you're vibrating on the same frequency of abundance. Leave your color down there.